For more discussion, I would like to welcome from London Mr. Marcos Papadopoulos, expert in international relations, specialized in Middle East affairs. Greetings for you. As we speak about what happened between US and Iran, there is no victory in the war. No one is winner. We do understand this. But Trump stated that he has achieved the required goals from this war. Do you think Trump has actually achieved his goals from the military operation perspective?
Well, from day one of the war, Trump's objectives changed on a daily basis. First of all, he said that he would bring freedom and democracy to the people of Iran. Then he said that he would prevent Iran from harming America and harming American citizens. Then he said that he would destroy the Iranian armed forces and the Iranian paramilitaries. What we can say is that he failed on all counts, because even regarding American lives, we know that American lives were lost in this war. And of course, I am specifically referring to American military personnel in the Persian Gulf. So Trump took America into what was a very deep quagmire, and now he is claiming victory. But what is that victory? Because the Iranian government remains in power. The overwhelming majority of the Iranian population stands shoulder to shoulder with the Iranian government. The Iranian revolution is probably more popular today than it has ever been in the past. And the Iranian military dealt grievous blows against the American military in the Persian Gulf and also against the Israeli military. So no, this is not a victory for America or Israel. I would say it is a victory for Iran. Why? Because Iran survived the war. However, this is just a temporary truce of 2 weeks. What is to say that in a few weeks' time, the war will not recommence?
The negotiations, which is supposed to take place on Friday, in your opinion, what are the main disagreement points that can be on the negotiation table right now?
Well, clearly, the Americans will claim that Iran must not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons, and the Americans will stand by that assertion. The Iranians, on the other hand, will say we have every right to enrich uranium for civilian purposes. However, the Iranian leadership, both the political and military leadership, undoubtedly are of the opinion that perhaps enriching uranium should also be made now for military purposes, because a precedent has been set by Trump, namely, America went to war with Iran. Therefore, in the Trump administration, during the tenure of the Trump administration, or following the Trump administration's tenure in power, there could be another war against Iran initiated by America and Israel. And this time, that war could be a lot worse for Iran. So what I am alluding to is this: perhaps Iran will look to develop enriched uranium for purposes other than civilian. After all, why is it that America has never carried out military action against North Korea? The answer is simple. North Korea possesses nuclear weapons, and you do not go to war with a country which possesses nuclear weapons.
The agreement for the main 10 item Iranian 10 Iranian items, including to free left the sanctions and free the money Iranian money freeze outside. Do you think Iran is forced to get this war in order to end this war without any sanctions left?
I find that very difficult to believe that sanctions will be lifted on Iran. After all, Trump will continue to maintain that Iran is the leading supporter and financier of terrorism in the world, even though that is preposterous nonsense. Therefore, Trump has no leg to stand on when it comes to, for example, lifting sanctions on Iran. So I find that inconceivable. As regards to America paying reparations to Iran, once again, that is inconceivable, because otherwise Trump essentially would be saying that he and his administration were wrong in going to war with Iran.
Yes, sir. The idea of reopening the Strait of Hormuz is still facing many problems. From Trump's side, he is saying that the US will help in opening the Strait of Hormuz. A lot of questions are raised if Iran will allow the passage of American ships during this period of negotiations.
The Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz has been, from day one of the war, its trump card, its most powerful, effective, strategic weapon. And that is something that the Americans were simply unable to break. Will the Iranians, during the next 2 weeks, permit American tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz? Possibly. But at the same time, the Iranians will be very vigilant as to the nature of those American vessels. Will those American vessels be purely civilian in nature? Could they be partly military in nature? So the next 2 weeks will be a very tense period, and no one should be under an illusion that the war has come to an end. Because as I said moments ago, Trump has set a precedent. Namely, America can go to war with Iran. This didn't even happen during the 1980s under Ronald Reagan. And I would say this, that the turning point for the Trump administration was the failed attempt by American special forces to destroy the nuclear facility at Isfahan, because what happened there turned out to be a disaster and humiliation for American special forces. Of course, the White House spun what was a disaster for America by saying it was a pilot rescue mission. The reality was very different.
We were talking that there is a celebration tune that Trump is speaking with when he says it's a great day for the international peace. Iran sees the same point. He's speaking about the golden era of the Middle East. Do you think this is an optimism tune for what is next after the ceasefire?
Regrettably, when you have, as long as you have foreign interference in West Asia, as long as a blank check is given by Western powers to Israel, there will be no peace and stability in West Asia. That is the harsh reality. The words which emanate from Trump's mouth are quite frankly meaningless, as well as ludicrous and laughable. What is there to celebrate? For example, over 150 Iranian schoolgirls were slaughtered in Minab by an American airstrike. What is there for their parents, their siblings, their friends to celebrate? So many Iranian civilians were slaughtered in this war by the Americans and the Israelis. Yes, Iran stood firm. Yes, Iran has emerged victorious because Iran survived the war. But so many Iranian civilians died. So much damage was deliberately inflicted by the Americans and the Israelis on the Iranian civilian infrastructure. So quite frankly, yes, the Iranian people have a lot to be proud of. After all, they are a very religious and nationalistic people. But at the same time, their victory has come at a cost.